All right, so today I'm going to show you how to fix a faulty speedometer on a 1994 Mercury Grand Marquis. All right, so for this car, unfortunately, the speedometer doesn't work. It doesn't turn at all, so we're going to be fixing that. First pieces that you want are these replacement gears that we're going to be putting in. I'll have a link in the description below. You're going to need a T20 bit, some sort of prying tool, some sort of pick, but I don't really have one, so I just use my belt, and a whole lot of fucking patience. So essentially what you want to do is, first things first, you're going to have to remove the trim pieces. You're going to have to remove both the passenger and the driver's seat. This is the driver's seat one. They're just held on by like these little metal tabs that are onto the trim itself. It's very easy. They're surprisingly durable. They did not break at all, even when I had no idea what I was doing. So you want to remove that. There's going to be two of them right here on the driver's side. On the passenger side, I believe there is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we look at the trim, that definitely confirms it. So once you remove the passenger and the driver's side trim, the next thing you want is you want to take that T20 Torx, and you're going to remove 1, leave it somewhere over here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're gonna have to remove 5, 6, 7, and 8 once you remove the trim. And then once you finally remove all of these pieces, this is the tricky part. So you're gonna have to remove the headlight knob, and this is rather difficult, and this is where that pick comes in. If you see right here on the knob, there's a little hole right there where you can just put that pin in, and you want to push down on it onto this metal tab. You're not going to really see it, but you'll feel it. And then once you push down on it, you can finally pull out. You cannot remove this trim without removing the knob, and you want to make sure that you do this right. When taking out the trim, you also want to make sure that you disconnect any cables that are leading into it. So make sure to disconnect that cable that is leading up to that clock. This was the only cable and tab holding the trim in place. So once you can disconnect it, you can finally pull the trim out. So in order to get to the cluster itself, you're going to need a T Torx 10, and you're going to unscrew these golden screws. So for this next part, you're going to grab a 7mm socket, and you're going to take out the 4 black screws right there. So once you've taken everything off, you can finally take off this black piece, and this clear piece might be a good idea to give it a nice clean. This car is over 30 years old, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now the next part is a little tricky. So do you see this mechanism here? This right here is what controls, what gear it says you're on. So this white piece, from what I've seen, cannot be disconnected. Instead, what I did, it's like a little cable, and you gently wanna pull back on this gold tab. And if you look here at the bottom of the clear piece, it goes around. And you just want to angle it downwards and then pull away so it comes out. And then when we put it back together, make sure that you have it stretched all the way to P for park. And then put that loop back into the plastic slot. Next, we're going to grab a 5mm socket, and we're going to remove this. All right, now this is easily the hardest part, and frankly, I think this shit needs to be outlawed. But essentially, once you get rid of all those other screws, you can finally tilt the cluster a little forward, and from there you're going to come across these ugly ass plugs. And essentially what you want to do is you want to apply equal emphasis on equal pressure on both sides and lift up. And it's very, very difficult. I took the gray one out, or the light gray, and then did the black one, and from there I was finally able to get the cluster. All right, I came back inside real quick just to show this, but if you look inside the cluster, you're gonna see all these pieces, and that is what's left of the worm gear, which we have right here. So we're gonna be replacing that, and we're also gonna be replacing another gear. So for this part, you're gonna take your pry tool, and you're gonna pry it right along here, and it should just pop out like so. Then for this part, you're gonna pry out right around here, and it should also pop out. We've popped both of them out, and if you can see, just as predicted, the gear right here is completely out of place. If you can observe, it's completely melted, the teeth are completely gone, and the worm here is just non-existent. And I'm touching this, and it's sticking onto my finger, and I'll explain to you why this is a common fail point in a lot of Ford cars from the 90s. So what I've read from online, it's that Ford back in the 90s with all their cars used kind of like this cheaper plastic, and just touching this right now, I can feel that it's very warm. Granted, this is a southern car, so the heat probably caused this to melt over time, but I wouldn't be surprised either if it was just poor design, obviously poor materials being used that caused the failure of this. Irregardless, I'm willing to bet money that just by simply fixing this with a better quality plastic, that it should be back to working ways. Next, we're going to pry it at this bottom right corner and this bottom left corner, and it should be able to slide right out. Once you pry it out, it should come out rather easily. And once again, just another look at this horrendous mess, but everything hopefully should be working once we replace those gears. You're going to take out 3 4.5 millimeter screws, 1, 2, and 3, and then this plastic unit should be able to come off. If you look at this little motor piece, it's got these tabs sticking out. You're just going to twist, and if you look right here on the plastic part, there's like these little ledges, so make sure that you're pushing down on both as best as you can and twist to pull it out. You're going to remove those 4.5 millimeter bolts, and then from there you're able to lift up, and you're going to get access to get rid of that gear. Additionally, you're going to take the prying tool and you're going to remove whatever is left of this shit and then put the new worm in it. Quick look, this is what the old gear looks like. And this is what the new gear looks like, or at least that's how the old gear is supposed to look. This is what's left of the worm, and this is the new worm. We're going to put in the new gear. This is where it's supposed to be. If you have any like lubricant, now's a good idea to put it on. Unfortunately, I don't have any, but it's whatever. If it breaks again, I know how to fix it. Next, you're going to take the actual odometer itself, and you're going to put it in like so. Then you're going to take the 2 black screws and put them in right there. And already, once we have those 2 screws installed, you can see that the gear is working. All right, this part is important. Make sure to pay attention. Now, if it focuses, if you look at the worm, on one end you see almost like these indents. This is the end that is going to be like so on the motor. So you want to put it in this way. So just a reminder, this is very important. This is how the worm should look on the motor. So once you screw the odometer assembly back into place, you're going to take the motor. Make sure to take off this cable from this clip. That way you can put in the motor with the worm properly. And once you do that, you're going to put it in, and then you're going to twist, and it's going to lock into place. All right, so I'm on the road right now, and as you can see, I haven't installed everything back on. However, I just put enough to where it can stay in. Just currently driving around waiting for this to change, and it should be changing in the next mile. And that is exactly how you fix the odometer on a 1994 Mercury Grand Marquis. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was a massive help, and to reassemble, it's just the same steps that you did disassembling, but backwards.